If you've got stock in Lyft, sell it now. They've got no future, in my opinion, of course. Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and full disclosure, after listening to that opening intro, it dawned on me, should probably mention, not financial advice, this is news commentary, but yeah, personal opinion. If I had Lyft stock, and I don't anymore, I would probably consider getting rid of it soon, because Lyft has no future. Now, I have said this before, and I have been wrong. And I will probably be wrong again, because when it comes to Lyft, everyone is wrong. Lyft was that little dinky competitor to Uber years ago that was supposed to peter out after several months. But they managed to stick around primarily because they built a business model around treating their drivers fairly and paying them well. And then, of course, they realized it was probably more profitable to, squeeze them like Uber does. And as a result, they did grow their base. They got a lot more customers, but then they became exactly like Uber. They started losing money hand over fist, and they decided that they were going to match Uber tat for tat. If Uber did something, Lyft did something. If Uber cut these rates, Lyft cut their rates. If Uber introduced upfront pricing, then Lyft would too. Basically, the only thing that Uber did that Lyft did not also do was make a food delivery service. And when the pandemic hit, I bet you Lyft really regretted that, because here's the thing, both Uber and Lyft, and a lot of companies really, have suffered greatly during the pandemic. Rideshare is one of those things that suffered the most. And now that people are actually getting back into real life, the real world, and they want to take rides again, they find the pandemic has screwed them even more, because drivers have decided they don't want to come back for those pity severance pays, those slave wages. And yeah, they're offering millions of dollars in bonuses, but that's not going to last. You can't convince these drivers to come back and take a few bonuses and quit their job again. Not going to work. Uber and Lyft are in real trouble. In fact, Lyft is in so much trouble, they have decided to sell their self-driving unit to Toyota for $550 million. Over $500 million Lyft has sold their autonomous division. Now, in all fairness, Uber did this as well. They sold their division, I think, for maybe a little bit less, but they also took a little bit of a stake in the company that they sold it to. So just in case things worked out in the long run, Uber would still benefit, at least to some extent. But Lyft, I think, is doing this out of sheer desperation. So let's look at this real quick. Toyota Motor Corporation has acquired the self-driving division of American ride-hailing company Lyft for $550 million in a move that highlights the Japanese automaker's ambitions in that technology. The acquisition, announced Tuesday, was carried out by Woven Planet Holdings, a Toyota subsidiary that began business in January and focuses on innovations and investment in projects such as smart cities, robotics, and automated driving. Of the payment, $200 million will be paid up front and $350 million over a 5-year period, according to Toyota. The Woven project will bring together engineers and researchers into mobility services, software, and senior assets, and automated driving systems for further development. Develop the technology, according to Toyota. Now, here's what's said. The deal will be key in weaving together the people, resources, and infrastructure that will help us to transform the world we live in through mobility technologies that can bring about a happier, safer future for us all, said Woven Planet Chief Executive James Kuffner. Now then, Woven Planet and Lyft also signed commercial agreements to use the Lyft system and fleet data to speed up commercialization of the technology. What you are not reading in here is Lyft getting a percentage of the company that they are selling this technology to. Lyft is basically not going to be in the picture from this point on, and that puts Lyft in a very, very precarious position. But what do the shareholders think about this? Well, let's look at Lyft stock, which is at $63, and I am amazed that it's that high, to be perfectly honest. Granted, I will say, if you still did your IPO, you got screwed. This thing started at 78 or something like that. You're still down quite a bit, and you've lost some serious money depending on how much you put in. But look, on the news, it jumped. It jumped from like 63 to 65. But as you can see, very shortly afterward, it's going down. And in fact, it's down worse than, or at least close to what they were a week ago before they even announced it. Now, why is it going down so much? And the reason is pretty obvious. It's because rideshare is not profitable. It has never been profitable. I know that people go to these strikes and these protests and they say Uber and Lyft are profitable. They can pay us more money. Well, you are right. They could pay you more money if they charge the customers what that ride was worth. But no, they are not profitable. Trust me, I was a shareholder for these companies. They are not profitable by any stretch of the imagination. And so when they're selling this, they're selling their future. And Lyft is not diverse at all. I mean, Uber at least has bikes, which are kind of starting to come back. And as Auto Auctions Rebuilds found out, they're everywhere in Los Angeles. Like, people just leave them on the ground. And I'm sure that's going to be an ordeal at some point. But Lyft does not have a food delivery service. They do not have a credit card. Lyft basically has rideshare. And I think they've tried with the bikes, but, again, rideshare, bikes, they're both kind of screwed at the moment. So Lyft needed some cash, and they sold their autonomous division to get cash. And while it sounds really good at first, hence why the stock jumped for a few dollars, it quickly becomes apparent, that $500 million that they got, that's going to be blown in the next quarter. So they basically bought themselves an extra month. Lyft is not diversified, and they have no future. Now, I have been very critical of the autonomous car thing. I don't think that's the future. I mean, if it is, it's many, many, many years in the future. Well, it is not going to happen within the next 5 years. I said that 5 years ago. I'm going to renew that claim. 5 years, autonomous vehicles still won't really be a thing, except in some very enclosed areas. So, what is Lyft going to grow by? Their ride share, and my printer for some reason decided to turn on. Lyft's ride share business is not profitable. It never was. It probably never will be. They can't raise the prices because then people will just use Uber because Uber will be cheaper. That will kill Lyft. Basically, I have been saying for a while, the only way for rideshare to exist in America is for there to be a monopoly. It either has to be Uber or it has to be Lyft, and they have to have the whole market themselves, because only until they have the whole market do they have the freedom to charge what the rides are actually worth and make money. Boy, Lyft is not doing well today. I mean, the stock just keeps going down as I talk about this. So Lyft basically said, hey, look, we know there's no future in this autonomous vehicle business and we need the money. They got a very, very unfavorable deal. And here's the thing, even if Lyft goes under, Uber probably won't be the next big one. You know who's probably going to be the big guys in town? It's going to be Sony or Tesla. It is going to be a company that has billions of dollars that they can subsidize these apps and these services, because the thing is, people are now at the point where it's like they expect rides to be a few dollars. But you see, here's what Sony does. Sony has an app, it's on the phone, and they, give you rides. And do they charge a whole lot more than Uber? Not really, but you know what you're also doing when you take those rides? Sony's getting an insight into what you are doing with your life, where you are going, at what time are you going, and they will use that information to sell you Sony products that do make money to you, the consumer. And Tesla, by the way, can very much do the same thing. If you want to know what the future of rideshare is, it's not autonomous vehicles, it's not Uber, it's certainly not Lyft. It's Sony, it's Tesla, it might be Apple, who knows, but rideshare is only going to work with a company that has money to basically throw away, but who can use that data to sell their riders products and services that they will actually use. I do not think Uber is in that position right now, and Lyft is certainly not in that position. So again, not financial advice. Talk to a financial advisor. My suggestion, though, you have Lyft stock, get rid of it. It probably won't be worth much going forward. But again, I've been wrong about that before, and maybe I'll be wrong again. Do you think I'm going to be wrong about that? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.